Just shoot it out.
So tell me about how you grew up and how you ended up in Atlanta.
How do I grow up? I was born and raised in Mexico City. I'm the fourth of five siblings, so I'm almost the little one. But my parents, after 6 years of kind of being having the king of the house, me, they decided to bring another kid, and it's my little sister. I went to school in Mexico since I recall, maybe since I was 14 years old. I always have had this entrepreneurial mindset. My mom used to do sales, and all her family, from my family side, everybody is in the kind of a sales business or trade business, or they all have businesses. My dad is a journalist in showbiz, so he was involved in all um, on the in Mexico. We had this time in which a lot of movies were filmed in Mexico. So he American movies. So he had the opportunity to meet Burt Reynolds, John Travolta, Anthony Quinn. So and I was with him. But anyway, I grew up with this family in the core of this family, which was very different. Businesswoman and artist, journalist. I started my first businesses when as I told you, when I was about 14 years old. And I have sold and done a little bit of everything. I have sold gold, I have sold eggs. I opened a mini lab when the mini labs became very popular in Mexico. You remember those machines that you bring your film and you can develop photos. So I have one mini lab, and then I have crews of people that we went to the apartments and pick up the films and develop the pictures, and the week after we deliver their pictures. I have taquerias, I have boutiques, you name it. I have done a little bit of everything. Uh, my dad, because my dad was in the showbiz, I also have the opportunity to be a child actor. So I have the opportunity to work in about 25 movies, about 8 soap operas, theater plays, and you name it, from 6 years old all the way to 22 years old. It wasn't a career that I pursued, although my dad wanted me to be on that industry and become famous, which in some time of my life, maybe between 18 to 20, I became a little bit popular, well, very popular in Mexico, because I have the opportunity to work in a sitcom that was very popular, as well as right after a soap opera that also kind of broke all the records. It was a blockbuster. Um, During that time, being an actor and being a businessman is a career that is very hard. It's not an easy job to do. As a businessman, you have the risk that you can lose everything one day. You have to put a lot on it, and you don't know if it's going to be successful. You need to work hard, hard, hard. On the other hand, being an actor is even worse, because you finish a job and nobody knows you. You need to be getting prepared and attend a lot of meetings and participate in as many castings as you can. So I started getting a little bit discouraged to continuing that career. So by 2000, or excuse me, 1989, my sister and I, we decided that we will be in the other side of the industry, kind of in the advertising industry, and we decided to open a talent agency, which became very popular. And because I was an actor, I started opening doors and doors for production companies to hire our services. And all what we were doing it was just to funnel actors and models and all of that. Back in those days, I started doing promotions and marketing. And I started working for companies and putting big events together for Colgate, Coke, Bacardi, Frito-Lay, Philip Morris. We have promotions and marketing campaigns and activations all over the country. We got to a point in which we have 4 offices. Our company started growing in steroids, growing. From 3 people, we went from 3 to 60 employees. It was crazy. We started controlling promotions all over the country, simultaneously coordinating about 2,000 people at the same time. It was crazy, but I started getting tired. And I think my spirit of is kind of an adventure that I always have, the adventurer that I always have in me. I was trying to find something different, something that will. I don't know if it's a cycle. I don't know how can I call it, but I was trying to find something different. I started getting tired of that. It was a lot of stress managing people, and every single business. I think the biggest failure that you can face is, or the biggest hurdle that you're gonna have to overcome to don't fail is the HR. HR is very hard to work with people. You need to take care of them. You need to be a good leader. Blah 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 blah. So I started getting a little bit tired. In 1996, I put a big event together, and about 3,000 more, like 5,000 people came to that event, and it was a free event. And in one of the stairways, I saw a beautiful woman. Turned to the right. My sister was just right beside me, and I said, "You see that woman? I want to marry her." And she started laughing. She will never, ever look at you. And I said, "You bet." I don't know. Back in those days, I didn't know about the law of attraction. All of a sudden, a year after, she came to my office. She was a model, and she was kind of trying to get to start working with us. So she brought her resume and everything, and I came downstairs and I looked at her and said, "I know you." She didn't recall anything. She always laughed like, I don't know what you were talking about. But to make the story short, I met her. We started kind of we became friends. We started dating. All of a sudden, we kind of agree to live together. So we lived together. But her mom was living in the States, in Atlanta. She's Mexican American. Her mom was from Texas and her dad was from Mexico City. She came after 1 year of being living together. She came to Atlanta to visit her mom. She called me back and said, "I want to stay in Atlanta. I just want to get back to Mexico, pick up my stuff, and move to Atlanta. Do you want to come?" And I said, "She's crazy. I will never do that. I will forget her in 1 week." No, actually in 48 hours. I was very successful with my business. I can just kind of snap my fingers and have or meet whoever I wanted to meet. But I was wrong. 6 months after, I was here in Atlanta without speaking English, without knowing the language. So I moved here and I say, "Okay, I'm gonna marry you, or I'm gonna marry her, and kind of build my family and make my family with her together. I'm gonna live with her." That was 20 years ago, and it's been they've been the best 20 years in our life, my life. She's the greatest woman in the earth. I think the universe. My best partner, my best friend, my confidant, my everything. So we had a great relation. She's great. She's the greatest woman that I wasn't wrong when I pointed. So that's what I'm here in Atlanta. She is the reason that I'm here. So when we came to Atlanta, do you want me to continue? When we came to Atlanta, I said, well, what am I gonna do? So what I did at the very beginning was to implement. I opened a marketing advertising agency to help American companies to tap into the Latino market. So I started providing services to Coke, to Church's Chicken, and some of the pictures you have Church's Chicken. I did Cool Smiles. I did a lot of campaigns and promotions for companies trying to attract the Latino, that were looking to tap into the Latino market. And my advantage was that I have a lot of experience in putting marketing campaigns together, designing them, come up with a creative idea, and implementing them. So we start kind of doing extremely well. I have clients like national, domestic brands or domestic companies and international companies, of course, from Mexico and Colombia, that they were trying to, companies from other countries, from Latin American countries, they were trying to do the crossover. So I started working with them. But then again, that cycle that I was telling you about, I started thinking, I need to do something else. Back in Mexico, in about 1980, early 80s, I met a guy that was developing a market, kind of a flea market. In Mexico, we call them bazaars. It's not a flea market. And a bazaar is those retractable or retractable or that you can assemble or disassemble booths. You come on Saturday morning, you set it up, you bring your merchandise, you sell, and then in the afternoon you have to pick up tear everything down and take it with you. So this guy started renting parking lots in a very busy areas, and he became very popular. By 1983, 84, he bought a big piece of land in which he developed his Plaza Bazaar, Pericuapa. Pericuapa is, if you go to Pericuapa, is just Plaza Fiesta, Plaza del Sol in Kissimmee, Plaza del Sol, Plaza Fiesta that didn't make it in Charlotte, La Gran Plaza. All those plazas are kind of a copies of that plaza in Mexico. Well, they resemble that kind of idea, with the difference that that plaza in Mexico has about 3,000 booths. So Plaza Fiesta is just a 1/10, or maybe less of that one. It's amazing. They draw 1 million people over the week. So it's amazing. So I started working with him, and I started doing what? Marketing. Started doing promotions to what? To draw people. And his name is Alejandro de la Cruz, very famous in Mexico. And I work with them and help him to build his empire in Mexico. When I was here, I started thinking, well, there are a lot of Latinos back in those days on Beaufort Highway and Chambly Tucker. That was the Beaufort flea market. And I said, I can duplicate this. And I just saw an article the other day that Mundo Hispanico was resold for a second time. Cox sold it to Sam Samarripa. One of the people, the very first people that helped me and trust me and kind of opened the doors for me was the former owner of Mundo Hispanico, Lino Dominguez. Lino Dominguez and I, he helped me with the Kids Club. We published the Kids Club in Mundo Hispanico. That was he donated one page, and we have a lot of activities start growing. So I kind of told him about, or shared with him my idea, my vision to create a plaza for the Latinos in Atlanta. And he and I, we started working, and we went on Beaufort. You know where the Cap Technical College used to be, on Beaufort Highway, and right across from the new Burlington Co factory. There is a kind of a Korean Vietnamese area there, and there was a two-story building where the DeKalb Technology Park, the Cap College was there. The first floor was vacant, and the college was on the second floor. So we put an offer or an LOI to rent that building and start our concept. We went to Dallas. We met with the initiative that Vicente Fox wasn't the president yet, but he was the governor of Guanajuato, Mexico. And they had an initiative in which what they were trying to do is to help shoe manufacturing companies in Guanajuato to make the crossover. And they had this kind of a showroom, unbelievable, in Dallas. So we went there, we worked with them, and we had some kind of agreement that all those companies in Mexico will come with us and join us. Anyway, we flew like 3-4 times to Dallas, then we went to LA. We started doing a lot of research. And one of those trips, we opened the newspaper, his newspaper, and we saw two developers they were announcing that Plaza Fiesta, which is Plaza Fiesta now, they were ready to launch this project for the Latino community, and they call it the Latin Flea Market. And I told Lino, this is my opportunity, Lino. So help me to get in front of them. And he said, okay, I will. And he did. He put me in front of them. We had our first meeting with Vincent and Doug McMurran, Vincent Ridge and Doug McMurran, who were the developers that bought that shopping center. They originally, I think it has changed like 3 or 4 times of ownership. One was the Oak Tree Shopping Center. Have you done your research? I think it's Oak Tree Shopping Center. Then it was the Vietnamese Mall or the Asian Mall, and then it turned into Plaza Fiesta, right? So I went there. I walk around, and I saw it, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is what I need. This is it." So in other words, the way that I see it is when you had a vision and you had an idea and you really pursue it and you dream with it, you attract it. So I attracted it. I was very excited. They didn't want to hire me. You know why? Because my English right now is not the best English. Just imagine 20 years ago. I was like Arturo, blue, azul, was pollito, chicken. No, I was. It was so funny to communicate with them. But they saw something, especially Vincent Rillo. He saw that I have the drive, that I have that kind of an energy. And all what I told them is, give me the opportunity and I'm going to turn it around. They didn't have a clue how to reach out the Latino community. They didn't know how to communicate. They didn't know what to do. They just have the plaza, they just have the vision, and they knew that the Latin community will turn that shopping center around because they saw that need, or they identified that need, and they took advantage of the opportunity. So I came in doing, at the very beginning, the marketing. They had another manager. I did all the promotions, all the marketing. I even changed the name from Latin Flea Market. I said, no, it's not a Latin flea market. Flea markets in Mexico and in Latin America is pulgueros. So it's not it's like everything is used like in the States, but they don't the flea market in Mexico is like something that is low end, that people don't have that desire kind of to come and visit the place. So I took the name out and we started rebranding and repurposing the plaza. And the message was, this is the place for the family to be and spend the day, like in our countries. In Mexico, in Latin America, I don't know Asia, but I'm assuming might be the same because Europe is almost the same. Saturdays and Sundays, people go out, spend time at the big square, at the markets. Um, and it's the same in Mexico, but in the States, the culture is completely different. People go out 1 hour, 2 hours, max three, and then they go back. It's completely different the culture here. In Mexico, you go out on Sunday, you go out in 10 a.m. and you get back 10 p.m. So it's all day shopping, socializing, gathering, mingling with people on your community or in the downtown or the big square. So that was the message. Come, enjoy with your family, spend the day with us. And it was little by little, like just drops, no? We just pook, pook. And all of a sudden, we start kind of experiencing how the people start coming and spending more time. So we have, at the very beginning, we have, let me see if I have this picture. I should have more somewhere. I can get more. But there is one picture that I brought it because it should be somewhere. Anyway, we have spaces that were thought or planned to be for anchor tenants. We say we will keep, or the beans in this vision said we will dedicate a third of the shopping center into small shops for the entrepreneurs, for the Latino entrepreneurs, those stalls. And then the balance is going to be for anchor tenants and major tenants, which back on those days we had Marshalls and Burlington on each side of the plaza. So at the very beginning there were 120 booths and 15 kiosks, or less than that, maybe 10, which there were these little shopping carts, kiosks, and 130 units that were occupying about 30,000 square feet of the shopping center. Yeah, it's 1/10 because it's 340. Yeah, it's 1/10. And it had a lot of rotation. At the very beginning, as I told you, when I started, people don't realize how hard it is to open a business. But the good part back in those days is that all the people that came to the plaza, the pioneers, they have a lot of drive. They have that dream. Most of us as an immigrants, we come to this country with one goal in mind: to become better people, to have our own business, and to make the money that we need, that we couldn't, or that in our countries we will never make. So when you put them a opportunity to showcase their abilities to open a business, no matter what type of business they want to open, they're going to do their best. And it's what we experience. We went from people that start selling quinceañera outfits, and then we got people selling. I have one very good anecdote. A guy that came and he was like, "Oh, Arturo, I want to sell everything that you need to make cakes. The pots and I don't know how they call it, all that stuff." And I started looking at him like, "This guy's it's cuckoo. So who is going to come to this place to buy that when you can go to, even in the supermarkets, you have it. So who is, well, I can sell this, how to make jellies and the, how they call the, let me see how this, um, but I start looking at him. This guy is crazy. So I look at him and say, hey, my friend Jerry was his name. I say, Jerry, you're gonna spend money. You're gonna spend your life trying to sell something that is gonna be impossible. I would love to rent you the space. However, I'm a little bit concerned that you're gonna lose your money and then you're gonna blame us. Our responsibility is to give you at least parameters and what you can sell. I don't see that as a potential unless that you bring something that is unique. I don't see future in that business. Give me 1 second. Wow, these guys speak hard, loud. And he was devastated. I could see in his face. Oh, okay. Well, one of the things that I was very excited is because I know how to make cakes. I study. I'm a chef. Oh, he was a chef with a special, and he specialized in cakes and pastries. And I look at him, what? And I say, Jerry, bingo, you don't have to sell the pots, you don't have to sell all the materials. You can teach people. And start teaching people, they're gonna buy your products because you're gonna show them how to do it. And you're gonna start with one small class and then you're gonna start growing your class from 1, 4, 5. I don't know, but that is gonna be the drive. You're gonna attract people. And guess what? You're gonna have the opportunity to plant seeds and incubate other people's businesses. They can do a cake in their house and make a little bit of money. That's a great opportunity. Do you think that, Arturo? Absolutely. In fact, you know what? I have 2 spots that are vacant. I'm gonna give you one free. You're gonna pay me for one. I'm gonna give you 1 month free, and then you start your classes, and I'm gonna help you. He went from 2, 3, 4, and then from there he moved into inline space. And every single graduation, they brought me a picture with a letter from all the students that he got. And it's funny because that was 2002, 2003, so 15 years ago. Last week I was in an event and somebody said, Mr. Arturo, hey, you don't remember me? No, but your face looks familiar, but I don't. Well, I started with Jerry. I started learning how to make cakes. Now I have my small bakery, and I look at it. Oh my gosh! So that was the mission. That was when we start kind of really pushing and making better the goal of the plaza, to empower people, to help people to grow. And that's when the plaza started really taking off. And we did a lot. Thanks Vince and Rijo and Doug, both, they allow me to do everything that I wanted to do. So I found out that some of our vendors, or tenants, they didn't understand spreadsheets. I partnered up with the Decap Tech, and they came and teach them. They didn't understand how to do a business plan. We offered classes. We even offer English classes, because what I saw back in those days is that our community had the drive and they were willing to work many hours and risk and bet on the project, risk their money. but they were lacking in some areas that were very easy to really help them to achieve, to overcome those hurdles. So we start offering classes, we start offering marketing classes. We we did a lot, and then the plus is when it started growing. So from 130 units, the goal at the very beginning was to keep those fully 100% leased. And then when we prove that we can have at least 1 year without vacancies, when I say without vacancy, I would say 5% vacancy. So 1, 2 units wasn't significant. So if we could prove that, we can expand the concept. So those big spaces that were there for big tenants, we say no, let's build more. And then you've been at the plaza. From the playground, you walk through the playground towards where Marshall used to be. It was a big nightclub called the Rex. Kind of a nightclub, weird club, just to say in another word. And Vince and all the group decided to shut it down and recapture that space. So that space was vacant. That space was about 12,000 square feet. So it's right the corner where there are some restaurants that face to the Capelana Center. That space with that space has 60 units. So 130, then we went with 60. By the time that we start building it, we start the construction and they start putting the beams and cleaning and all that stuff. We already have leased all the units out. So we start I start pushing Vince and all. Hey, we need to get it done. We need to we need to get it done. We need to be open by this time. So we opened it, and it was a very successful event. Back in those days, we held on that space. The SBA administration, the office in Atlanta, invited. It was a Latino guy. I don't remember his name. That was the director, or he was in charge of the SBA office in the country, the federal level. He came and helped and funneled a lot of resources, or put us in contact with a lot of resources that we took advantage of them, and we showed our tenants that they could take advantage of them. But let me just back up a little bit. So we started doing a lot of promotions. I was doing the marketing, and I never told you why my involvement, why I got involved so deeply into the concept. In 2000, the plaza opened in November 1999. In April 2000 is when we start officially kind of advertising and promoting the plaza. But 2001, the manager changed his mind, and he was tired because it was and I respect that guy because it was a lot of work for him, a lot of pressure. Because at the very beginning, when the small tenants don't succeed, they blame who? The manager. They don't blame Arturo. They blame the manager. There is no power. It's the manager. The manager. So he decided to resign, and Vince approached me and asked me if I would like to take over the management. And I said, you know what? I haven't been an employee. I always have owned my business. I don't think that I'm gonna be good at it. I don't have the experience on doing that job. I don't think that that's for me. So one of my cousins in Mexico was getting married. I flew. It was Cinco de Mayo. I remember Cinco de Mayo 2001. I got a call. I was in Mexico. I think I was coming out of the airport, and I got a call. I remember I have that Kyocera telephone, big one. And I got a call, and it was Vince. Say, hey, I'm flying to Mexico. What? Why? I want to talk to you. So meet me at the airport this time. Oh, but tomorrow is my cousin's wedding. No, no worries. I can take a taxi and I meet you wherever you want me to meet you. Okay. So he came, went to the wedding, and after that we went to the party. The next day we toured him around. I took him and I introduced him with um, Alejandro de la Cruz, that big bazaar in Mexico, and he was impressed. He was like, "Oh my gosh!" When we were there, he said, "Hey, I want you to be the." He wanted me to be the manager, and I said no. And he said, "Well, we give you partnership." I said, "Well, we're talking." My wife was there, and she was with like just like a saying denying, no, 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 don't do it, because she knew that I will be kind of a trap. That's our way to see things. When you get kind of a, you become an employee, you don't have that freedom, and we have other plans and other dreams, whatever. But then I look at Vince. I remember we were having dinner and he ordered some shots of tequila and I said he's trying to get me drunk now. um, I look at him and say okay, but it's gonna be my way. So I'm gonna tell you how to do it. We will agree, and if you start changing things and you try to do to you try to tell me how to do it, I'm out. No, you're gonna have the full kind of direction of this. You're gonna take control of this. We as a developers, we will be behind doing the development and doing the hardest part, dealing with the major tenants, dealing with construction, dealing with this. You just focus on making this a big success project. Got it. And it's when, oh my gosh, Kelly, the work was just crazy, and we came out with ideas, with promotions. We raffled cars. The event hall that is on the, what is that, the east part of the plaza, right? Is east, north is north of the plaza. um, North of the plaza, it was empty, and I told them, you know what? And it was the stadium. It wasn't level. It was, I don't know how the stadium built. So I told them, if we use that to host events, that's gonna be a killer. And they say, but it's gonna cost a lot of money. Yeah, but we can make it happen. But who is gonna manage it? Well, we find a manager. But who knows the well, there are promoters out there. No, but we don't want to promote it. We want to keep it with us, within the company. And I say, okay, I manage it, but I want to need help. And who can be your help? So, well, I want to bring my wife. And Andrea, my wife, managed the event facility for 2002 to 2007, almost to 2007. It was, so just imagine, we were doing the management of the plaza, and then on Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, events. We were like mules. We just work and work and work and work. But we saw all that progress. We saw all that success. We saw how a very simple 144 square feet space can change the life of entire family. We saw the progress. We saw how families started in a very small space and turned that small space into a gold mine, and their life was completely different. Why? Because they have something that belongs to them. They have that sense of belonging, and that is what brought us a lot of or gave us a lot of joy. And I was so, every time that I walk, when I was working there, and walk on the corridors and saw those faces that the year before they were complaining because we didn't have the traffic and we didn't have people and we weren't doing promotions. They just were very happy and they were very thankful and always they were very appreciative. Hey Arturo, thank you. I said, you don't have to thank me. You did it, and that was the whole philosophy behind it. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of I talk too much, right?
No, it's great. You talked about the attraction for people to come to Plaza Fiesta. What would you say for you was the overall mission of Plaza Fiesta in the community, perhaps?
Have a place where they feel at home, away from home, and have a sense of belonging in which they can feel included, not excluded. Our people come, I would say not all of the people, but a big portion of people, or vast majority, come from small towns in Mexico, Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, in which they have their culture, their customs. They wanna revive or kind of live or have that experience in here when they are away from home, and they don't want to go to the mall and be wearing those hats or those crazy boots that people. I've been at the Perimeter Mall or some other malls, and I see my Mexican friends or my Mexican family, and I see them wearing that, and I see the faces of people like, what is this Mexican cowboy doing in here? So they don't feel that sense of belonging. They can interact. And in Mexico, we like to bargain. We like to interact. You go to a market and you talk to people. You interact with them. Hey, and they give you samples. I told my kids, I took them to Mexico last year in December, and we went to a market, on wheels market, like the farmer market that they set up in Sandy Springs or Decatur or whatever. And I told them, we will eat today, we will eat free. How? You want to see? So we went and we started walking, and we have samples of apples, oranges, cheese, cream, carnitas. So by the time that we finished the tour, we were we were full. That doesn't happen in here. And that was the idea of Plaza Fiesta. Have that interaction, make people feel at home, away from home. Being in Mexico, going to Latin America without having to have a passport with them. So it was the kind of that was the vision. A place where they can bring their families, they can talk to other people and know the community. So have that opportunity.
How do you, who would you say is the target audience for Plaza Fiesta, and do you think that has changed at all over time?
It has changed. Of course, as time passed by, there are more people that are more educated. So there is a social discrepancy or division in any country in the world. So the Plaza Fiesta, I would say, is for the target group or audience is more middle class. I don't want to say lower class, but it's middle class, below middle class. People that might not have the opportunity to live in a big city, people that came from small towns, people that they still before they came here, they were living in those towns that they didn't have access to technology or to big shopping centers. So that people that comes from the rural areas or from the countryside of Mexico or El Salvador. over the years, our goal was to attract the other audience, the more educated audience. But what happened with that audience? They culturize, they blend, and they feel offended when you tell them you are a Mexican and you talk to them in Spanish, because they already been culturized. They can go to any place in the States. They can go to Ponce Market. They can go to Mall of Georgia and be able to communicate, be able to transact, to feel comfortable. They don't feel um, uh, excluded. The other group, which is the working class, the people that maybe crossed the river or came here as tourists, and they decided that this was the country or the land of opportunity and they stayed here. That's the audience that is going to be the main target group. The second will be the next generation, second generation, relatives of first or kids from the first generation that they already speak the language. And the third audience will be the educated people. But that people will go to Plaza Fiesta just to find something that you can't find anywhere else. And that's one of the biggest threats that the plaza has. Nowadays, back in those days in 2001, 2000, it was very hard to find a piñata. Now you go Roswell, Sandy Springs, East Cobb, wherever you go, you find a piñata, you find a quinceañera, you find boots, you find hats, you find, you name it. Why? Because little by little, businesses or similar businesses been popping out, as well as retailers have figured that out, that they are losing sales. So they are integrating those. You go to, I remember going to El Baloo. You remember El Baloo? Chambly, Tucker, and Beaufort Highway. There is a big shopping. It used to be a supermarket. I think it was. I don't remember the name. Well, Larry Bucket bought that store and turned it into a Latino store. You have to travel. We used to live in Duluth, and you need to go there to find Mexican produce. It was extremely. You can see shopping carts full, like maybe I would say, back in those days, maybe $300 in one cart, and there were lines and lines and lines of people. Now you go to Roswell, Sandy Springs. Before you get to Abernathy, there is a Mexican store there. You find everything. So you don't have to go to Beaufort Highway. So that's a big threat. But what was the other part of the question? The audience and how has that affected? My kids. I love my country. I love my culture. My kids are bilingual, and they are Mexicans, even though they were born here. They know that they are Mexicans. Okay? But they don't care. They go to the plaza, and for them it's the same to go to the plaza to go to another place. They don't see the difference. Why? Because they are growing here. If they weren't grown in Mexico, it wouldn't be completely different. Like me, I will lie to you if I don't want to go at least once a month just to walk around to the plaza. I've been there. I was there 2 weeks ago, and I got the mango paleta. Icy popsicle. Yeah, it was great. I walked. Some of the people there are new tenants. Some others still there, the same at the very beginning. There is a couple of them that they come and hug me and take me and they give me gifts and no, don't give me that. That's the biggest threat. The other threat is, unfortunately, with the debate since 2009, with the immigration debate, with the economy as it is, and the label, the way that they were have labeled the Latin community, is affecting, is hurting our community. The people like me, we feel offended, and we rather don't even kind of go that route or take that route. So if somebody mention about nationalities, we try to kind of just be vague, because we start, in some cases, to start confrontation. Back in those days, the Latino community was the dessert in every single table. Everybody wants to know about the Latino community. Everybody wants to know about Mexico. Wow, you are from Mexico, and you can hear in the restaurants, you can hear in the coffee shop, you can hear in the supermarket that people saw our community like, wow, he speaks Spanish. Wow. After the debate on the immigration, it's very sad how they come and the first question is, oh, you are from Mexico, you sell drugs. Believe it or not, I don't pass as the prototype or the stereotype of the Mexican people that people living in this country or in Europe. Well, Europe maybe is a little bit more different, but they people have the idea that Mexicans are black hair, spiky hair, dark skin, they are short, they are more like indigenous, they look more like a native Mexicans. No. So when I was in Charlotte, I remember, in one meeting, it was a dinner in our community. Somebody, I don't know if it was trying to bring me down or put me down in front of people, but the comment was like, oh, I was watching the news and I saw that you have buildings like in America. And I was a little bit kind of happy, and I look at her and I say, no, we don't, what you saw is just part of Mexico. That's the part that we present to the world. But the reality is that we still live in pyramids. And my dad doesn't have a car, has a big donkey. And when they pick me at the airport, I have to ride the donkey. Really? Yeah. We live in a big pyramid. We don't have light. We don't have power. We have candles and torch. And then I start laughing, no? And everybody laughed like, hey, please. So they have that. Unfortunately, that's the biggest threat, especially in Beaufort Highway. Beaufort Highway, everything that is in the perimeter is pushing out, and it's the transition, and it's the shift in the community. It was mainstream back in the 60s. There's a movie. There is a movie with that was filmed in that shopping center. I don't know if you are aware of that. What's the name of the movie? It's Dan Aykroyd. Try to find all the movies that Dan Aykroyd. That is one that's the original mall, as used to be the Oak Tree Mall. Beaufort Highway was for what I understand, in the early 60s was mainstream, white. Then in transition into a little bit of black community, and then Asian community. The Asian community kind of dominated, kind of 70s, early 80s. And then when the Olympics were about to start, a lot of Latinos started moving to Atlanta, because they were looking for the state and the city needed manpower to build the facilities for the Olympics. The Olympics were in 1996 or 1996. So mid 80s, a lot of migration started coming from all over the states. Piedmont, what was the name of that community where the is Cindy Marcos and Piedmont. There is a new Target, there is a new Home Depot. There used to be a lot of apartments there. That was Mexico. It was full of Mexicans or Latinos. All that people was the workforce to build the stadium and to build the facilities. They demolished it in 19, no, in I believe 2002, 2003, and they built that new. They redeveloped. So starting from that end is Beaufort, Cindy Marcos, and then you have this Piedmont. What was the name of that community? We went a couple of times there. Anyway, all the way to Chambly. You were in Mexico or in Latin America. Now it's shifting. There are townhomes right across from Plaza Fiesta that are for sale at $750,000. Claremont Road and Dresden is pushing. Why? People, it's a shift, it's a transition in the demographics. People want to live inside of the perimeter. And the natural area to be redeveloped is the ugly part of town, which is that corridor. And they are knocking down apartments, they are buying. So that's a biggest threat that the plaza has. On top of that, you have for our communities now, you don't have to go to the plaza to find your places. Me as a Latino, yes, I go at least 8 times a year. But it's just go, I know where I have to go, boom, and go out. And it start kind of happening and more. So that's the biggest threat for it.
You mentioned the immigration debate. Do you think that has affected the visitorship to Plaza Fiesta?
Latinos, yes, because there are roadblocks sometimes, and there was a point in when we got back to Atlanta, when we moved back to Atlanta, it was even in the news that they have roadblocks on Claremont Road and Dresden, Beaufort and Dresden. So they were looking for Latinos that come to the plaza. And you can tell every time when I was there, every time that they come out with a debate with the immigration and whatever, the traffic just slow down. You go Monday through Friday. In the past, you see more traffic. Now it's very slow. Most of the people that goes or visit the plaza Monday through Friday, like any other mall, is people that are around or that are nearby or close by. But in the past, you can have people that came all the way from Dalton, all the way from Savannah to visit the plaza, even on the weekdays. Every time that we have an immigration situation is slowed down. And what I heard lately is with the new immigration reform, the wall, it's not only that the traffic has slowed down, is that there is more kind of a some of the community, not all of the community, pointing out and sending even blackmailing and sending. When I was in Charlotte doing the project, I just received a very nasty email from somebody, a blackmail. I think that I saved it somewhere, but the way that person kind of put that email, it was the most offensive email that I have ever read about the Latino community. So all that debate is affecting. We are not seen as we used to be in the past. As I was telling you, we were the dessert. Everybody wants to be and learn more about the Latino community. 2009, when the debate started, kind of even I know, and I don't want to make this as a political comment, but this didn't started with the actual president. It started with the last president, and it was bad. It was bad. So I remember going to restaurants and listen listen to conversations of people saying, "Oh, you see that Mexican? They didn't even know that they are Mexican. They were Mexicans. Oh, no, it's ugly. I won't come back to this restaurant. Or I won't do this. I don't want to be besides them." Um, One day there was in Atlanta. My wife used to have insurance agencies, and we were leasing a space, and we were kind of working in the build out of the interior of the suite. And next door there was a bar with a patio. And there was a group of Americans. I don't want to say Americans. A group of people that were very. They were just bullying a Mexican guy that was helping us with the construction. He was wearing construction outfit, just sweaty t-shirt, pants, saggy pants, rags, and they were saying they were so bullying him and making fun of him. So I got very irritated, and I approached him and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm Mexican too, so just be careful. Be careful. Just respect, because if you go to our country, I'm sure that they won't do the same to you. So just be a little bit more. Just be respectful." And they look at me. "Oh, no, we were just making fun." Yeah, just take it easy. I got very aggravated with that. But that's one of the situations that is happening right now. When it's gonna end, I don't know. They keep saying, "Well, this has been happening. It happened to the Italians. It happened to the Irish. It happened to the Asians." I don't care. The problem is that it's been going on for 10 years. So when it's gonna end, I don't know. So they point us out. And yes, I agree that there is bad people like in any other communities, but the vast majority were people that came here to contribute, to work. We basically left our countries because we didn't have the opportunities. Well, not in my case. We didn't have, or we weren't happy with what was going on in there. And just imagine a guy that comes from Mexico. I know a couple of guys that I work with. They do my construction for some of my projects, and they come from towns that they don't even have sewer lines. They don't have power. They don't have. Anyway, so keep asking me because I'm gonna have to run.
Okay. I wanted to ask about, on that topic, about some of the highest profile events at Plaza Fiesta, like the immigration rally in 2006.
Oh, I have pictures of that.
Oh.
I'm gonna send you some. I just found some. Actually, I have it. Yeah, I'm gonna send you, Kelly. Just send me an email. That was impressive. They say that we gathered like 100,000 people. That was a lot of people. I don't believe that it was 100,000 people. I would say maybe 20, which is a big number. It was a very good rally that I got impressed. Everybody got impressed. Extremely well behaved. Most of the events that take place at the plaza produce a lot of trash. Okay, so you do this September 15th that you might be there. I don't know if you went to the Mexican Independence Day. It takes days to clean it out. So because it's trash all over. I got impressed then when the march that day, the rally in April 2006, right? When it was done, nothing. No trash. Not even a single bottle of water. I was impressed. It was a demonstration that was extremely well organized, and the people had just one common goal: to let the government know that we are here and we want to kind of contribute, that we want to be well received. Yes, some of them are undocumented. Some of them have done bad things. but it's not the majority. Yes, there are undocumented people that that's going to be another topic that is I think is vicious. Is something that the same system allows that, but that's a completely separate topic, which I don't want to dig into it.
That rally, given that you mentioned that the immigration debate has continued on for 10 years, do you think that a rally like the one in 2006 would not be repeated, or would it?
No. No, because back in those days, this is what this is my personal feeling, my personal opinion. We were very, I would say, we were sure that Bush would do something, and then that was Bush, right? And then nothing happened, and he was Republican, and then came the new president, and it was the same promise. In fact, there were a lot of meetings with them, with that party, to kind of try to find a way to help people that been living here for 20 years without documents, maybe more, and they got the promise, and nothing happened. Now we have a new government, a new president that is against all of that. However, he has like a kind of a door. He wants to open the door, but I think that is more politics. What is getting played out to show who has the power, to show who is going to have that majority, and it's kind of the for what I can perceive and what I see, kind of between the lines, is who has the card to help that community. But if it hasn't been done since Reagan with the big amnesty, so that was in the 80s, right? And they haven't done anything. That means that they don't want to do anything. Why? Because it's cheap labor. Why? Because it brings a lot of benefits. Yes, that is the black part of that, of the negative part is, well, but they are getting benefits. Oh, they are getting this, they are getting that. Yeah, but the truth is that you also are getting something in exchange, no, in return for doing that, for allowing, or kind of pretend like you haven't seen them. So it's deeper. It's very hard for me to understand why hasn't been done, or why the Congress and the government hasn't come up with a solution that is fair for the states, of course, and somehow fair for the immigrants that being here and being allowed to stay in the country as an undocumented people. Because don't tell me that the government doesn't know that they are undocumented. They know. Everybody knows. So it's very simple. But why they haven't done it, I don't know. It's an interest, maybe. It's maybe the way to go, because it saves certain. I forgot the word. You can save money, or it can be. It's the people that is like a ghost. You know that they are there, and they're gonna buy, they're gonna consume, but basically they don't have any rights. It's an interest. What it is, I don't know. It's very. For more that you keep kind of learning about this country, it's a fair country. You have a lot of opportunities. Yes, it's a one of the countries with the best opportunities in the world. But there are also things that you don't understand. But it's not my job to understand that. It's going to take to my third generation, right? To my grandkids.
I also wanted to ask about your company's decision to sell Plaza Fiesta when that happened, and then the decision to look at expansion with what you did in Charlotte and what has happened with those efforts?
From the development side, developers, when they turn around and they see the opportunity to sell, is what they do. Basically, it's a big flip, right? Here, the situation was completely different. We have the biggest opportunity ever, but the two principals or the major stakeholders didn't agree on anything. It was a very nice relation at the very beginning, and it started turning into a dark relation. Into I say, you said, this is right, you are wrong, and it was very hard to deal with it. So for the health of the two partners, the two principals, the equity partners, the best way to go was to get the property sold, and is what happened. And on top of that, that they made a lot of money. Even though I was a partner, yes, I made good money, which has given me enough funds to survive after the recession and keep going without worrying too much. So I got retired before being retired, so in other words. But that was one of the reasons. The main reason was it was very hard to deal with two alpha partners. It was very hard to make them agree. What color do you want to paint the wall? I wanted yellow. The other one, no, I wanted green. Okay, so what if we combine yellow and green, and it's going to be a lighter green or lighter or darker yellow, and would you both agree? No, I wanted red now. Okay, what color do you want? I wanted black. We want to do this, and they didn't agree on anything, and it was more pride. I'm better than you, and it changed in maybe, I don't know, the lunar eclipse changed their minds, but it was nasty. We went to meetings every week. We had a meeting, and it was an hour long meeting, and they just kept fighting, and we just sat and just looked at them, and they were fighting and fighting, and it started kind of the tone started going up and up and up and up. We were in meetings in which the only words that we could the wet and bad words was okay. Everything else was like out of tone. So till one day they said, you know what? I think the best way is to either buy one of the partners out or sell it. They went on for couple of months. Like I buy you, you buy me, but that kind of a confrontation. It was confrontational, and they couldn't agree, so they decided to sell, and it took 12 months to get the property sold. 12 months. So since the moment that they was signed the contract, it was about 12 months or 11 months, and it was painful, because then when they entered into a contract, the glue of the equation was the staff at the plaza, so me and my staff. And it was like we had a new lease. We have to pass that lease to the new owner or the future owner, and he has to approve it, and it was tough. And then you have to go with the partners and say, hey, I have this. No, you don't do it like that. They don't, and then it was very hard. The company the broker that sold the company, I think that they did an extraordinary work and manage the expectations of the owners, of the partners. It was very hard, honestly.
When was that?
East Deal Secures. Eric Zimmerman.
Okay, and what year was it?
2007, 2008, November 2008.
Okay, great.
So 10 years ago.
And then the other efforts to expand to other cities?
Groups from all over the country came and approached after the big news that the plaza was sold for 50 something million dollars. A lot of groups approached us, me individually, the other partner, and one of the partners approached me, say, hey, we have this opportunity. Would you like to come with me? Even though wasn't the partner that I had more communication with, I saw that as a challenge, and I say, wow, is what I like to do. So start a new kind of a challenge every certain time, every cycle, and we went in and it started off very good, extremely well. In 6 months, I leased out every single space. But then we started. I remember it was the gas price when it went up crazy. Then it started the immigration, and boom! Right after that was 2009. That was, I think, August, September, 2010, 2011. We couldn't hold it. It was tenants started kind of a mom and pop businesses. They didn't have money. They didn't have work. Immigration, no money. They start migrating out of doing internal migration, migrating to another state, to another cities, bigger cities, and everything started kind of falling apart. Timing wasn't right. The city of Fort Mill, because it was South Carolina, had another vision for that piece of property. The community didn't want us there, so it was the right components for the I always have told people that when they want to open a Plaza Fiesta concept, they need to have the fundaments, the components in there. If you don't have them, don't even dare. And it's what happened in North Carolina. It was a destination. Here is kind of a community. It's a community center. You have apartments, walking distance from the residential. In the back, you have a lot of density. You have a density in the front, 2-3 bus stops, easy access, close to the MARTA station. You have everything, and a big community. I don't recall. I think it's like 200,000 people living in 3 miles radius. You have everything. So if you are able to capture what, 10%, so it's 20,000 people. So it's a lot. The other one, it was a destination. No easy access, no density. Didn't have the components. Although we have a lot of success. We pack it every weekend. It was crazy every weekend, until the recession came. And then when the recession came in, it was devastating. Tenants start canceling and moving out at nights, and it happened the same in here, and a different scale. Most of the people here, they were already established businesses, so it was a little bit harder for them to leave like a almost brand new, a year-old project or concept. So then they start coming other projects and other opportunities, but I just decided just to fold and say, no, this is not for me. I went to Kissimmee, I do another concept with another group, and I got tired. I think my patience is gone. I won't do it again. And I get offers and opportunities every week. So every week, no, every year. I get, hey, let's go to this place. I just got a guy that called me from DC. In fact, I'm gonna be in DC next week, and I'm gonna take a look of that site. And they want me to come and help them. But they want the issue is that they always want me to run it. I don't have the time. It demands a lot of effort. Julio, Maritza, Even the guy that bought the plaza, well, the group, Sorafim, is the Sorafim represents CalSPERS, California Pension Fund, or Teachers Pension Fund. And there is a guy that is kind of the consultant, Jose Legaspi. You might have heard that name. They don't know how hard it is to do it. Because when the plaza was sold, it was already on steroids. It was making money like crazy, the plaza. So for people that come and to tell that it's easy, no, it's not an easy task. It's harder than, I think it's harder than opening a new development, because you have to deal with 300 families, 300 people from 300 different backgrounds, and convince them, be the captain of their ship and lead them. Even if you know that it's going south, you need to push them to go north, right? So it's hard, and educate them and show them. And I used to do tours. I took them to the America's Mart. I took another group. We went to Tennessee to a big expo, gift expo. I did everything to facilitate or to bridge that gap in between where to get their goods, how to sell them, and how to learn to do business, how to display. We brought people that helped them to do merchandising, visual merchandising display, how to price, a lot of stuff. So it was more like an incubator. It's kind of an incubator. I remember this guy from the SBA. He was impressed. I said, who has taught all of this, or how do you have help these people? Well, the staff, 3 guys and my wife, well, 4 guys. We did everything, and I came up with creative ideas and said, let's do it in this way. It was a great experience, but I won't do it again. No, it's too, if I were 30 years old or 28, I would do it again. But now I'm 50 and it's too much work. The reward is huge. It's amazing, because you transform people's life. So Plaza Fiesta vision or philosophy will be a place where you can feel at home away from home, and you as a business owner, you can transform your life as long as you become part of the plaza. So because it was a lot of synergy, it was a lot of energy, a lot of hope. Even though I don't like the word hope, because it was used by another campaign from another. No, I'm kidding. Hope, drive. You can see people setting up their booths, the excitement. That is the biggest reward that you can ever have. It's not about the money. And I never saw it as a part of my drive. I never put money first. My vision my desire when I joined the group was to really, really turn it around and help all those families to put their business to get from their business what they were looking for, kind of a freedom, stabilization. That was the biggest reward that I could ever have.
So I also wanted to ask about Buford Highway and the role of Plaza Fiesta in Buford Highway, and I was wondering what you see as the biggest transformative moment in Buford Highway's history.
Buford Highway was dying. It was full of gangs. The day that we opened the plaza, it was a murder right in front of us. Gangs. There was the Vietnamese mob, the Mexican mob. There were 7 gangs in that corridor. Okay, why? The headquarters, or the arena to have all those feuds, all those brawls, was Plaza Fiesta. The event facility, it was a med lab. It was somebody was in there cooking stuff there. And the guy that was on the front had a wire transfer, was selling drugs before it turned into Plaza Fiesta. So it was a magnet. It was prostitution. You might, if you do the research, you're gonna find out that were porno movies broadcast from the restrooms of that plaza before we become Plaza Fiesta. It was a lot of stuff going on. Plaza Fiesta turned it around, clean it. Our partners came and brought Jim Island, a captain of the Cap Police, who was in charge of the security, and he cleaned the house. He didn't have any tolerance. You are wearing saggy pants, you are out now. Bye. Hasta la vista. Go home. Put on other pants. You have tattoos. You have some kind of signs. You are out now. That initiative really helped the corridor to be revitalized and start bringing another customer, another client that was afraid in the past to come to that area. It was awful. You might not remember, but they were the low riders. They were guys with guns. It was crazy. You now go to Plaza Vista, you feel safe. Before, in that corridor, when the flea market was on Beaufort, there were shootings every day almost. It was a wild west area. Plaza Fiesta changed it. Plaza Fiesta showed that we can keep a shopping center clean. Plaza Fiesta started driving business, bringing people to the area, and every single small business that was dying start flourishing again or revamp again. So I think Plaza, I would say that before the Plaza, we can divide the retail and the progress on that corridor for the multicultural market. We can say before and after Plaza Fiesta. Plaza Fiesta came and cleaned the house and helped a lot to revitalize that area. DeKalb County, what was the name of this official in DeKalb County? Gail Waldroof, Gail, I don't remember her last name. She was in the county, she was one of the officials of the county, and she's the one that provided the sidewalks, because she saw that we draw people from miles away and they come, and she saw that opportunity and said, oh my gosh, you know where the fork starts on Claremont Road and Beaufort Highway coming from south? So graffiti, we didn't have tolerance to graffiti. You come and you put graffiti, you put it in at 1 o'clock, 1:05 was gone. We have our people with paint, and if they come, we cover it up, and we defeat it. We third gangs, drug dealers, prostitution. We clean. So that's one of the biggest contributions that the plaza did for the corridor, for the international corridor. And we embrace diversity. We start inviting people from other nationalities. We hosted events for the, I think it was the some of the African countries. I don't remember, but we have these events. We start kind of telling people we are here and we want to share it with you. And people at the very beginning, they have that perception on 2001. I don't go there because there is a lot of crime. And yeah, there was a lot of crime. There were 2 shootings at the plaza prior to one, the day that we were opening, that the old officials came. There was a guy that came in the parking lot in the front where the emission test station is. There was a shooting there. Boom! They killed him. It was there laying down in there. And what's his name? Jim Island came came and covered it and say, go to the other side, just take care of that, I'm gonna take care of this. So we don't wanna make noise, because if they find this is gonna be a big news. Then we were having a big festival, and we have La Raza with again South 13 and another one. We were hosting a big festival, Cinco de Mayo, and everything was going great. Just where the new racetrack is, on that corner on Dresden and Claremont, there was a shooting going back and forth. They didn't have guns; they have rifles. It was crazy, and we were hosting and we started hearing the shooting. But because we have the sound system, not all the people, not all of the attendees heard the shooting. It was another kid that came and started running across. He tried to cross over to the event, and I was kind of maybe like 500 meters away from him, and I was and Jim say, stop, pull the gun down, and the guy did this, and they shoot him. One of the other police shoot him from the side, and of course killed him. But what wouldn't happen if that guy wouldn't cross to the event? It wouldn't be a fatal event. Just people start running like crazy. Anyway, we clean it. This kind of the fights and all that stuff. I haven't heard anything in the plaza since we implemented that program with police, with undercover officers. The developers or the partners, the equity partners, put a lot of money. It was a lot of money just to deter that crime. I think that's the biggest contribution, along with a vibrant place that I don't know how many people draws a week now. I remember when we sold the plaza, it was like 100,000 people a week. So just imagine, all the other business start flourishing.
Last question is.
Yes, are we done?
Well, we're close to, I guess, right? What is one thing that you think people get right about Buford Highway, and one thing that you think people get wrong about Buford Highway?
Right is that they know that there is diversity, that they can find unique. You can travel around the world. Well, I would say part of the world, by driving from Piedmont, from Cindy Marcos, all the way to Doraville. It's amazing. You can see Koreans, Vietnamese, Nigerians, Caribbeans, Mexicans, or Latinos. It's amazing, the diversity, and everybody knows about that. That international corridor is a jewel in Atlanta. The bad perception, what I still think, is the low class people, the illegal, especially on the part where the plaza, from, I would say maybe from, what's the name of the other plaza where Marianne hosts the event Dia de Muertos? What's the name of that shopping center in North Drew Hills? Norris Plaza, all the way to, I would say, Dresden Drive. Too many illegals, but that's the label. That's the bad, the negative connotation of the corridor. But other than that, I think it's something that should be preserved. Something that's I disagree in a lot of points that Marianne shared with me, but then I was able to see her vision. Is how you can preserve this culture. I told her that I didn't see how, and I didn't have a clue, and I think that it was going to be forgotten so soon when the transition start happening, when the plaza gets sold, if they sell it again, which might happen. Just think about this. Most of the institutions, they don't hold their properties for more than 10 years. They already use everything that they could to get the money out of their investment. So now it's a time for a new development. or a new concept in there, and it's 19 acres, right in the best area, and it's screaming for redevelopment. So hopefully it's something that is multicultural, right? Otherwise, you're gonna see another mixed-use development like the one in Dresden or the one in Brookhaven, which don't drive multicultural.
Is there anything that I haven't asked about what Plaza Fiesta was and is today, or what Buford Highway was and is today, that you wanted to share?
Well, there was the crime scene of Atlanta. That was the hub of the crime prior to. It was bad. You might, I don't know how long you've been in here, but the first thing that when I came to Atlanta, the point of the reference of the landmark for Latinos was the Buford flea market, and you can find everything in there, and then you start going south, and it was bad. That plaza, if you do a little bit of more research, there were videos. There were prostitutes there walking. Of course, before it was the plaza, so it was bad. Now, you feel comfortable walking on Buford Highway. So yes, of course, it's gonna be crime. Of course, like if you were in Midtown, it's always there is always bad people. But Buford was the Wild West before Plaza Fiesta. In that transition in which the shift in between Asian Latino, it was a lot of stuff going on. Cars driving very fast. It was a lady that was killed. Somebody hit. I think right in front of Plaza Fiesta. There was a lot robberies. I think now you drive by. They started the project of the beautification of the corridor, and I think it looks great. So it's been a long kind of it has taken a long time to do it. But the sidewalks, the program with the sidewalks, we didn't have sidewalks. They put sidewalks all the way from Kroger all the way to Dresden, so you can walk. So they made it more accessible. And I think that the vision from the county was to make it more accessible and make it easier to visit. So I think that's one of the biggest advantages that the plaza has done for the area, and that changed a little bit the stigma that we as a Latinos or we as a community cannot change the dynamics of the market as it's heading to. So back in those days, that market was going south. Nobody had an idea, hopes to how to turn it around, and it was the seed of two crazy developers that they bet on a community that was in a need, and it was almost how do you say underestimated. That we were underestimated, and they saw that, and they had the ability to turn it around and put all the pieces together, the puzzle together, and it changed it. And that's it should be a case of study how you can change a community and what needs to be done. Because once you talk to people, once you tell people and guide people and show people, don't give them the fish, no? Show them how to fish, and they will be by their own. And it's I think is what the plaza did to or was able to provide to many families that went from being maybe self-employees or selling or working for somebody else, they turn around their families. I have many stories. The guy with the churros, the Mexican churros, the guy with the rings, the guy that sells the jewelry. He started with one. He went through. He made the crossover and started selling in Discover Meals in Georgia, Mall of Georgia, and he went even beyond of that and started doing his own jewelry, producing his own jewelry. And then it's another lady that sells jeans, woman jeans, and she started kind of buying from a distributor or for a third party, and all of a sudden she's making her own jeans. Now she distributes. The guy that sells the cowboy boots, he's one of the largest distributors in the southeast. So who will give you that opportunity? Who will guide you? Who will open the doors? You go to another shopping center and they're gonna say, okay, your rent is $10 a foot. You're gonna be working. You're gonna have to operate Monday through Friday. Here are the rules. Here is what you are supposed to be doing, and you follow this, and then you might be successful. And you are on your own. Oh, by the way, you have your business plan. I want to see your business plan. And here was the other way around. What idea do you have? Have you done business? You haven't. Okay. There is an opportunity here. We will show you. We will open the door. We will provide you with the tools, the right tools, so that you can be successful. And guess what? We will guarantee you that we will bring people. It's going to be up to you to set up your merchandise, your store, display your merchandise, put good prices, and have a great customer service to be successful. It's going to be up to you. And I guarantee you that I'm going to bring you people all over. The hallways is going to be full. And that's your opportunity. Because guess what? We will have a captive audience. That's a more important thing. The plaza has a captive audience. Other malls, how many times you go to a mall? How many times? 3 times? 4 times? 7 times? There are families. There are tons of families that they go to Plaza Fiesta every single weekend. It's a captive audience. And guess what? They become your promoters. So I think that the case of the study, the model can be duplicated all over the country. It's just a matter of who really wants to take on the leading part. Who wants to do the heavy lifting job? Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Great. Well, those were all of my questions. So thank you so much for your time. This is great.
So I'm hoping that this is everything that you were looking for, and it will help you to put your project together. And if not, don't worry. Don't just delete it.